Welcome to the Prescott Home Value Report through April 2026. Brought to you by the Prescott Pickle Lady, Diane, Breaux Realtor. As you can probably tell, I am not the Pickle Lady. That's me in the bottom right-hand corner. My name is Randall, and the Pickle Lady has authorized me to show you the following slides. As always, we're going to start with the Prescott median sales price per square foot. Each one of these dots represents the median sales price per square foot in that particular month. The blue line is last year, the red line is this year. And as you can see, we just lost our appreciation. So we were a bit ahead of last year for a number of months. That changed this month. We came crashing down. We're about 1% lower than last year, essentially flat. So I was thinking we were kind of getting into another range. We were starting to get some more appreciation since COVID. Then it started, the gap here started to narrow, and as I kind of expected last month, for this month, we actually came crashing down -1. The transaction volume, on the other hand, is a different story. We're kind of going into a stratosphere. We got a stratosphere here 2 months in a row. I should tell you, each one of these dots represents the number of transactions that closed in that month. And once again, the blue line is last year, the red line is this year. We've been neck and neck, the same as last year, the same as last year. We had kind of got out ahead of last March, and now we're even further ahead out in April. So showing some good volume here. So that's good. Nevertheless, we're still looking at a strong buyer's market. So the way that we determine that is using something we call the pending ratio analysis. The way we do that is we look at the number of homes on the market. That number was 654. Of those, 96 were pending. Well, 96 is 15% of 654, so our pending ratio is 15%. You look up 15% in the handy-dandy color chart that we have here, and you'll see that 15% represents a strong buyer's market. It's been there for a while now. Breaking that out by price point gives you a chart that looks something like this. So the bars down here at the bottom, that is the number of homes sold or closed. This is each one of these bars is the number of homes that sold in that particular price point. So you can kind of see the distribution here. The red dots, each one of these is the pending ratio for homes in that price point. And this kind of looks like a classic, the classic shape of this curve, although it looks a little flat. Generally, what you see is the lower priced homes are more of a seller's market, and the higher priced homes are more of a buyer's market. So it kind of tails down kind of in this direction. It sort of does that, but honestly, all of this is looking really flat to me. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Things are kind of crowding up in the strong buyer's market. The only bright spot for our sellers is in the 400s. Not quite a balanced market there. Not sure what's going on in the homes less than or equal to 300. Generally, that's kind of up here, but you might have some homes in there that are really in bad shape or maybe need a lot of repairs. So it's kind of dragging down that average. As always, we see a little bump here, right about 800. That's become a pretty permanent fixture, kind of an anomaly there. Something about 800s and 900s must be a popular price point for buyers, and the supply is not that high. That kind of goes up. But nevertheless, everything is either strong, extreme, except for our 400s, which is just a straight buyer's market, almost balanced. How long does it take for homes to sell in Prescott? Answer is 4.7 months. That's not including escrow. 141 days, that's 4.7 months. That's from the time you put the house on MLS until you get a contract. Then you got to close. Escrows have been running fast, which means we probably have a lot of cash deals. Usually that's about a month. That's running a little shy. You add those two together, 5.5 months soup to nuts. Turning now to the city of Prescott Valley, similar song and dance. This is the median sales price per square foot. We turned under last year, last month. So we're still kind of behind the 8 ball, showing -3% appreciation over last year out in PV. Here's the volume. Our volume's a little ahead, not anything close to what we're seeing out in Prescott, where we've got quite a bit of a couple of months of spiking going on, but still pretty good, kind of in line with last year. It is also a strong buyer's market in PV. 373 homes in inventory. Of those, 69 were pending. That's 15%, a little better than the 15% we saw in Prescott, 18% in PV, but that's still considered a strong buyer's market. Breaking that out by price point, as you can see, based on the blue bars here, this is a lower end market than Prescott is, and got some crazy stuff going on with our pending bar here. These, I wouldn't pay too much attention to these really high price points out in PV. There's not a lot going on out there. That might just be like 1 or 2 homes that, for whatever reason, are still pending. Haven't been pending. This lift here, the 7s and the 8s, we're starting to see that as a regular feature of this curve. Again, we should see just kind of a downward slant, but 7s and 8s. Remember, in Prescott, it was 8s and 9s, but it did not look nearly as prominent as it does out in PV. A lot of the numbers here are balanced or just slightly a buyer's market. Nothing in the strong area. Do we kind of come up with strong buy, kind of the difference between these and these, kind of average those out, and I guess you get strong. But when you look at it broken out by price point, it tells a different story. This is a lot closer to balanced out in PV, and you got some out there that the higher end homes that don't look like they're moving very well. How long does it take for homes to sell in PV? 3.8 months. So their escrows were a little quicker, although still below our 1 month benchmark. Not quite as many cash deals out in PV. That means soup to nuts, we're looking at 4.7 months. So here's our highlight chart. We're looking at $327 per square foot in Prescott right now. That is 5% lower than last month and a 1% change over last year. Out in PV, $291 is the price per square. That's 1% lower than last month, 3% lower than last year. On the volume side, we're looking at 119 in Prescott, which is an 11% hike over last month and a 31% hike over last year. Those are pretty big numbers for Prescott. In PV, we had 80. That's 8% lower than last month, 5% higher than last year. In inventory, we have 654 homes in Prescott. That's a 1% decline over last year. A little tightening, not a whole lot. 1% growth out in PV. You add those two numbers together, you get 1,100-ish. Generally, I use 1,200 as my benchmark for inventory. Before COVID, that was a typical number of inventory between Prescott and Prescott Valley. We're running a little shy of that, but pretty close. We've been there for a number of months now. It took us a while to build inventory after COVID, but this is kind of our normal operating range now, somewhere 1,100, 1,200. Months to contract, 4.7 in Prescott, a little bit less than a 1% change. Decline since last month. And in PV, that number is 3.8. That is a 0.3 difference over last month. Now, this video covers highlights, but it's not all we're doing. We actually do a whole bunch more. You can see the full report for lots of slicing and dicing. If you just go to the pickle page, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The important thing is this is not the only monthly report we do. We actually have lots of stuff that we do for both buyers and sellers. And this is all stuff that you can only get from the Pickle Lady. So if you have not been to the Pickle page, you should get to the Pickle page because you got stuff like this on there. This is our Appraiser Eye View. So this is a report that we run. We run for the whole city, and we also have a separate report just for the subdivision of Prescott Lakes. It is sorted by price per square foot, so that you've got the lowest homes on the top, the lowest price per square leading up to the highest price per square. And this is how many months it took to sell, the square footage, year it was built, how many stories, how many acres, and whether the home has a view or not. We even have a video there that kind of explains how to use this information to estimate the value of your home or whatever home you happen to be interested in. We do a subdivision snapshot for the top 40 subdivisions. So you can see kind of the price ranges, square foot ranges, gives you a good sense of what kind of homes are in the subdivision. And of course, you can look at the prices and whether they have a view. This is the percent of homes that sold that have a view. The price, the cost of the HOA. So it really kind of gives you a really good snapshot of all of these subdivisions. So as I said, this is all on what we call the Pickle page. Now, if you want to go to the Pickle page, you can go there. The address is pickle76, as in 1776, right? Pickle76.com. As I said, we do update it every month. You don't have to subscribe to get access to it. You could go to it anytime you want. But if you don't want to miss it, because again, we're getting updates that are going out every month, subscribe. You'll see some information there on where you can do that. And you will get a reminder every time we send this out, which we do once a month. If depending on where you're seeing this, if you look below, you will probably you will see the link to Pickle 76 or the Pickle page. There may be a button below. If there's a button below, you'll see the button, the big green button. If you are on YouTube, it'll be in the description. If you go in the description, but if you don't want to do any of that, you could just go to pickle76.com and it will take you there. Hope you've enjoyed it and hope to see you again next month.